Nearly 500,000 people.
Olympic City, USA.
Garden of the Gods.
Pikes Peak.
It's a growing city.
Our local government has a lot of employees. What exactly do they do?
How does it impact my life?
This is where you find out.
Behind the Springs, an inside look at your local government.
Jen. We're here with a special edition of Behind the Springs, and we're live streaming this one.
Ooh.
I was asking you
moving
before, you ever been on live TV before?
I have. Have you?
I have. Spoiler alert, we used to both work in news. If our listeners and now our viewers didn't know, but this is a special edition of Behind the Springs. Jen, do you want to enlighten the people on our big
Drum roll.
drum roll announcement? Tell the people, let's not keep them waiting. Why are we here talking to them today?
Okay, we are here because we have a new awesome ranking for Colorado Springs. We are ranked number 13 on New York Times prestigious 52 places to go in 2020.
How about that?
Lucky-
New York Times 52 places. Now,
Lucky
is
number
that
13.
is that in the country?
That is in the world.
In the world. I mean,
I
I'm looking at
know.
the list right now. I'm going
Yeah.
to turn the screen here once
So
I get
everybody
back
always
to
wants
us.
to know what's number one, or I always do.
Yeah.
Right.
So
okay. So number
give them
one.
the rundown.
Number one is Washington D.C.
Mm-hmm.
But we are the third highest ranked U.S. place among the 7 included. There's only 7.
Can
US
you give the
cities.
list of the 7, and then we'll start jumping into some of the other places. Now, again,
I don't know.
52 best places to visit in 2020. This is a very prestigious list that New York Times comes out with every year. But D.C. was first.
D.C.
Right.
was first, and I don't have all of the U.S. Destinations, but for example, Grand Isle, Louisiana is number 19, Austin, Texas is number 27, and Richmond, Virginia is number 32. Glacier National Park in Whitefish, Montana is number 52.
Yeah, that was the
They barely
that,
made it.
That rounded it all out. There's what it looks like if you want to go to New York Times website, number 13, Colorado Springs there, and they have a cool little shot of was that the Broadmoor zip lines?
Yeah, it's at the Broadmoor, and
Yeah.
it's someone zip lining. It's really cool, and it's a fun article just to go and see because it gives you kind of a little video or image of each place, and really, I mean, amazing, awesome places around the world, and it's just so cool that we're on that list.
Well, and to put this into perspective as well, we named some of the American places that there are. Paris is ranked 31 in here, and this is a ranking list. What is it that they go through?
So
and
this is what they do. They poll. They take a polling of its own travel desk, of the New York Times travel desk, which is a lot of folks like travel professionals, correspondents, New York Times contributors, people who've been all over the world. Those are the folks who put this list together. So pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty prestigious list to be on. I'll read just a little bit. There's a small blurb about each place to go, but it says, a gateway to alpine vacation lands since trains first arrived in 1871, because we're about to hit that sesquicentennial here in another year and a half.
Which sesquicentennial is?
It's the 150th anniversary of the start of Colorado Springs.
Not everyone knows that word.
I know. I just throw it around like it's common lingo. But July of next year, that's when we're going to be celebrating that sesquicentennial. But they say from a gateway to alpine vacation land since trains first arrived in 1871, Colorado Springs springs anew in 2020. In April, the $90 million U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Museum opens with a design by, I'm not going to read that name, the architects behind the reinvention of the Museum of Modern Art.
Yes, same architects.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I'm trying not to butcher any names, but I'm butchering the reading nonetheless. Another opening, this one in autumn, will be up on top of the 14,115-foot Pikes Peak, where the new Zero Energy Pikes Peak Summit Complex, sheathed right now in weathering steel and sandstone quarried in New Mexico, will give travelers a, now give me that word.
Traveler.
The
I don't know.
some sort of eye view. I think it's a 360-degree view, but this is the technical word for it. So you can see I didn't pass literature in school, but pretty
101.
cool. They also talk about the culinary scene that's up and coming here, as well as some of the other resorts in our area. But again, a very prestigious list. Now, this isn't the only list that we've been on recently.
No, about 8 months ago, we made a huge deal out of the fact, and rightfully so, I think, that we were the #1 most desirable city by U.S. News and World Report. And that was a really exciting thing. Remember, we had our fingers. Do you have your little
Oh, I
our
do have
number
my-
one,
yeah, I'm
our
trying-
foam fingers?
Trying to drink some coffee. This is the weird thing about doing it live on video. Then
Right. So we have our foam fingers for those just listening. Our #1 foam fingers out because we gave these to employees across the city. We put together this great video. We can link to it on our podcast page. But we put together this fun video of employees all over the city with their foam fingers saying we're #1. And even though we're not #1 on this list, I think number 13 is pretty awesome.
No, I mean, in the world, some of the other places, I think we're surrounded by an area in South Africa and then a place in Poland, right?
Right.
Are those the two?
We're sandwiched in between two.
Yeah, that we're
amazing
sandwiched in between there.
international destinations. And I think what you said and what the write-up said about the museum is spot on, and the Pikes Peak Summit Complex. Those are two of so many exciting things coming in 2020. But in April, we're going to have this amazing museum that's going to bring visitors from all over and is going to be such a great place for locals to visit. And then the Pikes Peak Summit Complex is going to be where you're going to want to take your relatives and
I
friends.
think where
when
you're
they
going
come.
with this thing used to bring people to Colorado Springs, Pikes Peak, Garden of the Gods, these natural beauties. We also are now seeing some of the things that are man-made that we're building here are going to be bringing tourists here, fans of the Olympics. Downtown stadium, so we're going to have other athletes coming to town. We're going to have people that really want to go to Pikes Peak again, even if they've already been there, just because they want to check out the new Summit Complex. This revitalization of downtown, this is something where everything is kind of linking together to create, as they say on New York Times, the 13th ranked place to go visit in 2020. And I could see it going up even higher going forward.
I agree, and I think we have a couple of reactions that we've gotten from our Visit COS. Those folks have just said this is such a big deal for obviously the museum, but also all the City for Champions projects that are going on. I know that you mentioned the stadium, and then we have a new Air Force Academy Visitor Center, and we have a great sports medicine complex going up. I mean, there's just so much happening, so it's a really fun time to live here and to be so proud that people want to come visit. I think it's really exciting.
Well, and just to remind folks that are joining in on our Facebook Live here as we started off, we were ranked number 13 in New York Times 52 best places to visit in 2020, and that is around the world. So that's a huge honor to get, and we were just discussing some of the reasons why we're ranked that high, but also some of the other rankings. And I'll read off a couple, and then maybe you can read a couple as well here. But these are some of the more notable rankings of recent. #1 hottest neighborhoods to watch in 2019. That was by Trulia. Saying strong job growth and young buying market pushed Colorado Springs to the top of our list of hottest hoods.
Hottest hoods.
They got the cool lingo over at Trulia. Most desirable place to live by CompTIA. #2 cities that will be the next dream outdoor hubs by Outdoor. #2, we should probably be #1 on that outdoor hubs, right?
I know.
We gotta push up that next year. And then #3, best place to live in the USA by U.S. News and World Report. And then you want to round out some of those big ratings.
This is great for anybody listening. Just who's nearby, even up in Denver. Come on over and check us out. But we're the #3 top place for a family weekend getaway.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great place for even a staycation if you live here. But if you live nearby, a great place to just come visit for the weekend with your family. #5, best city to find a job. #6, top moving destination by Hire a Helper. And #6, best city for veterans to live by Veterans United, which is an awesome designation too.
Yeah, so that's huge, especially with our military presence. And
Don't you
military
feel
bases.
like, Ted, there's some people listening that might be like, oh, why are we telling everyone? Don't tell everyone.
Well, of course.
Everybody's moving here. It's so, it's hard. I mean, growth is hard too.
Yeah. No, we hear
So-
from people that aren't the biggest fans of growth. They've been here 20, 30, 40 years.
It's like, shh, keep it a secret, but I don't think it's possible anymore.
No, I think the secret's out, especially when you're getting into some prestigious media places like New York Times annual list here. And also to kind of promote this podcast as well. I know you might be watching us on Facebook, but Jen and I are the co-hosts of Behind the Springs podcast, and this is our first time bringing it as a live stream as well. this is something that we want to keep hitting on. In our podcast, we bring on the mayor, we bring on different department heads. One thing we were just discussing yesterday about what we should have on future shows is maybe the planning department, maybe talking about this growth and how the city has been planning for this and why it's so vital for the city's future.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you on our Facebook comments. What would you like to hear on the podcast? Not what do you hate about growth in the city. We don't really want to hear about that.
No, we
we'd love to
like
hear-
the positive things.
We'd love to hear about what is concerning to you when it comes to growth in our city and what our role is. What can we help, I guess, relay in terms of information and what we do and, what our role is. I think some people get confused about that. So we'd love to have your suggestions on which guests you'd like to hear from and what would be beneficial to you. When it does come to growth, I also have found it interesting that just recently we have moved up from 42nd largest city to 39th. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, just how big of a city we are, kind of like it or not. I think some people are really charged about it and some people have mixed feelings, but it is what it is. We are 39th in the country.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing the growth, but let it be known that the city is doing the best that they can to make sure that growth very important and that it's a vital thing to keep this community going. But a huge thing for this community is tourism. And there's a lot of communities that might be our size or comparable across the country that are just work destinations, aren't travel and play destinations. We right now are finding that combination of both. That's why we're getting that fast growth. And we should be very happy that people are coming here. People are spending their money. We're getting these accolades of a top place to come visit, which is definitely going to push the needle for the amount of tourism that we're going to see in these upcoming years. So anytime you can get tourists as well as people that want to come here to work too, that is a great two-pronged sword there.
I think
guess.
a lot of people visit and then they're hooked and they come back and they say, I'm going to come back and live, and they do it. So I'm excited that they're joining us here in the city. But anyway, we just wanted to come on live and say hooray, hooray. And hopefully you'll listen to this podcast and get as excited as we are. And you'll continue to spread the news about Behind the Springs and give us your input on what you would like to hear about next.
Yeah, and we'll throw a link to that New York Times article in the comments section below as well. So please go and find us and listen to the rest of our podcasts that we've already done. We started up kind of midway through the year last year, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically anywhere that you listen to a podcast, or go over to our website, coloradosprings.gov, and look for Behind the Springs. Rate, like, subscribe, please, and let us know what you would like to hear about next. So thank you very much for watching this special podcast, our first live stream on Facebook here.
Lucky number 13.
Lucky number 13. Woo! Let's get that applause again. So, and maybe even, you know what, because it's our first live stream, a little air horn in there too. All right, thank you all for watching.